There's a gas station about 18 minutes from my apartment that I've probably visited more times than I can count. It's right off the bypass that cuts around my town, and it's the only place open past midnight, unless you want vending, machine food from the hospital lobby. I work remotely, and my sleep schedule is completely backwards. Most nights, I'm awake until 3 or 4 a.m., usually editing videos or handling freelance design work. That night, I'd been locked in for hours, headphones on, room dark, except for the glow of my monitors. I didn't even realize how hungry I was until it hit me all at once. It was 2:17 a.m. I grabbed my keys and headed out. The roads were dead, like they usually are at that hour. No traffic lights changing for anyone. No headlights in the distance, just empty pavement and the hum of my engine. When I pulled into the gas station lot, I noticed only one other car there, an older silver SUV parked near the air pump. Engine off, lights off. I didn't think much of it. Inside, the place was quiet. The fluorescent lights were almost too bright after being in darkness for hours. The cashier was a younger guy I'd seen before. We exchanged that silent nod regulars give each other. I grabbed a bottled coffee and walked toward the aisle back to order something hot from the touchscreen kiosk. That's when I noticed him, a man standing completely still in the beverage aisle, not browsing, not looking at anything, just standing there. He was facing the coolers, but his reflection in the glass showed his eyes weren't looking at drinks. They were slightly angled, watching the aisle behind him, watching me. I slowed down without meaning to. He was wearing a dark hoodie, hood up, hands in pockets. It wasn't cold outside, maybe 75 degrees even at night. I tried to act casual and walked past the aisle like I didn't notice. But as I passed, I felt it, that feeling when someone turns their head slowly to track you. I glanced sideways just enough to confirm he had turned completely now, and he wasn't blinking. His expression wasn't angry or friendly. It was empty, like he was calculating something. I finished ordering and moved toward the counter to wait. I positioned myself where I could see both the front door and that aisle in the reflection of a display case. He hadn't moved, just standing there. Then suddenly, without warning, he started walking, not toward the counter, toward the back hallway that led to the restrooms. But he didn't go inside. He stopped just short of the hallway entrance and turned around. Now he was facing me directly. The cashier called my order number. The sound almost made me jump. I grabbed the bag and left immediately. As I stepped outside, I felt relief hit me until I heard the door behind me open again. Footsteps. I didn't turn around. I walked to my car and unlocked it quickly. When I got in and locked the doors, I finally looked up. He was standing just outside the entrance under the bright lights, watching me, completely still. Then, slowly, he stepped off the curb and walked toward the silver SUV parked near the air pump. He got in, and the engine started. My stomach dropped. I pulled out of the lot calmly. I didn't want to look panicked, but as soon as I turned onto the bypass, headlights pulled out behind me. Same SUV. I told myself it could be coincidence until I changed lanes, and he changed lanes. I slowed down slightly. He slowed down. I sped up. He closed the gap. There were no other cars on the road, just us. I took the next exit randomly even though it wasn't toward my apartment. He followed. At that point, my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. I drove toward the one place I knew would still have people, the 24-hour emergency vet clinic on the edge of town. As I pulled into their parking lot, I laid on the horn and parked right in front of the brightly lit entrance. The SUV slowed at the entrance of the lot, sat there for maybe 3 seconds, then drove off. Didn't circle back, didn't hesitate, just left. I sat in that parking lot for 15 minutes before I could trust my hands enough to drive home. I never saw that SUV again, but I stopped going to that gas station after midnight. This happened in late 2021 when I was driving from Nevada back to Arizona after visiting a friend. It was supposed to be a 6-hour drive. Around hour 4, I hit a stretch of highway that looked like it hadn't changed since the 80s. No cell signal, no streetlights, nothing but flat desert and mountains in the distance. It was around 11:40 p.m., and that's when my low tire pressure light came on. I felt it almost immediately after. The steering wheel pulled slightly right. I swore under my breath and eased onto the shoulder. There were no houses, no gas stations, no signs of life, just wind. I got out and checked the tire. It was definitely going flat. I grabbed the spare from the trunk and started the process of changing it. That's when I saw headlights in the distance. One car far back, moving slowly, too slowly. I told myself maybe they were just cautious. But as I worked, I noticed something strange. The headlights weren't staying in one lane. They were drifting slightly side to side, like the driver wasn't paying attention, or like they were watching me instead of the road. The car slowed as it approached, didn't pass me, just stopped about 30 feet behind my car, engine idling, lights on. I couldn't see inside. My chest tightened. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. He didn't say anything, just stood there beside his car, watching me struggle with the lug nuts. Finally, he called out, "You need help?" His voice sounded off, flat, not concerned, not friendly, just rehearsed. I told him I was good. He didn't respond. He took a few steps closer. I stood up fully and positioned myself between him and my open trunk. That's when I noticed something that made my stomach twist. His back seat window was covered from the inside with cardboard. I don't know why that detail hit me so hard, but it did. He took another step. "Sure you don't want help?" I shook my head and said I'd already called roadside assistance. I hadn't, but I said it confidently. He stood there a few seconds longer, then slowly turned back toward his car. I didn't move until I heard his engine rev. He didn't drive forward. He reversed, slowly, then made a wide U-turn in the empty highway and drove the opposite direction. I stood there in the dark desert, realizing something. He hadn't been traveling that direction. He'd been coming toward me, which means he turned around somewhere ahead and came back. I finished changing that tire in record time and drove the rest of the way, gripping the steering wheel so tight my hands hurt. I didn't stop again. Story 3. Rest Stop Surveillance. This one still messes with me. I was driving through Tennessee in early 2020, middle of winter. Around midnight, I stopped at one of those large interstate rest areas with vending machines and picnic tables. The lot wasn't empty, but it wasn't busy either. A couple semis, one sedan. I parked under a light and went inside to use the restroom. Everything felt normal until I walked out. The sedan that had been parked 3 rows over was now parked directly next to my car. Driver inside, engine running. I knew it hadn't been there before. As I approached my car, the driver rolled down his window, didn't smile, didn't wave, just stared. Then he said, "Your rear tire looks low." My heart skipped. I had just driven 200 miles without issue. I glanced quickly at my tire. It looked fine. When I looked back up, he was still staring, waiting, like he expected me to bend down, to turn my back to him. Instead, I said thanks and got in my car, locked the doors immediately. He didn't leave. He stayed parked there, engine running, watching. So I sat there too. We must have sat like that for 3 full minutes. Then, suddenly, he drove off. Didn't circle. Didn't use the exit closest to him. He drove past the building and out the far side. I waited another 5 minutes before leaving. And when I merged back onto the interstate, I checked my mirrors constantly. Because once you get that feeling, you don't ignore it anymore.